5 years ago, on a night when the sky seemed to be crying along with her, a young, disheveled girl named Hannah stood in the pouring rain outside the towering glass gates of the Titan Group headquarters. She was soaking wet, her cheap convenience store uniform clinging to her shivering frame, clutching a positive pregnancy test in her trembling hand. She wasn't there to beg for money. She was there to tell the man she loved, the heir to the empire, Damon King, that they were going to be a family. She naively believed that their secret romance, those whispered promises in the dark, meant something. She believed that love could transcend the massive gap between a billionaire heir and a janitor's daughter. But she was wrong. Dead wrong. The gates opened, but not for her. A sleek black phantom limousine glided out like a shark moving through dark water. Hannah ran forward, banging on the window, screaming his name. "Damon, please, I need to talk to you. It's important." The window rolled down just an inch. She saw his cold, sharp eyes, but he didn't look at her with love. He looked at her with the annoyance one might feel for a stray dog barking at their tires. Next to him sat a beautiful, elegant woman, his fiancée from a rival conglomerate. Damon didn't even speak to Hannah. He just turned to his driver and said 3 words that shattered her soul into a million irreparable pieces. "Get rid of it." He didn't mean the rain. He didn't mean the situation. He meant her. The car sped off, splashing muddy water all over her face, leaving her alone, broken, and pregnant in the freezing cold. That night, due to the stress and the hypothermia, Hannah lost the baby, and with the baby, she lost the last shred of her humanity. The sweet, naive Hannah died on that cold pavement. From her ashes, a cold, calculating Avenger was born. She disappeared from the city, vowing that the next time she stood in front of Damon King, she wouldn't be looking up at him. He would be the one looking up at her. Fast forward 7 years. The wheel of fortune has turned in a cruel, ironic circle. The Titan Group, once the unshakable ruler of the business world, is crumbling. Bad investments, corporate espionage, and a market crash have brought Damon King, now the CEO, to his knees. He is desperate. His creditors are circling like vultures, ready to tear his legacy apart. His only hope is a mysterious investment firm from New York called Nemesis Capital, led by a reclusive genius known only as the Empress. No one has seen her face. Rumors say she's a shark who eats CEOs for breakfast, but Damon has no choice. He has arranged a meeting to sell 51% of his company to save the rest. He is about to sell his soul to the devil, but he doesn't know that the devil wears Prada and knows his favorite coffee order. The scene shifts to the top floor of the Titan Group. The boardroom is tense. The air is thick enough to cut with a knife. Damon sits at the head of the table looking exhausted but still retaining that arrogant, handsome aura. His sharp jawline is tense, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the mahogany table. He checks his Rolex. She is late. "Who does she think she is?" Damon hisses to his secretary. "We are selling the company, but I'm still Damon King. No one keeps me waiting." His arrogance is his shield, the only thing keeping him from falling apart. Suddenly, the heavy double doors swing open. The sound of high heels clicking against the marble floor echoes like gunshots. Click, click, click. A woman walks in. The entire room seems to dim in comparison to her presence. She's wearing a sharp, white tailored suit that screams power and money. Her hair is cut in a sharp, sleek bob, framing a face that is painfully beautiful but colder than ice. She wears dark sunglasses hiding her eyes. Behind her, a team of 6 lawyers marches in lockstep. Damon stands up, ready to assert his dominance, but the words catch in his throat. There is something terrifyingly familiar about the way she walks, the way she holds her head high, exposing a long, elegant neck. She doesn't walk like a guest. She walks like she already owns the building. She stops at the opposite end of the table, removes her sunglasses slowly, and looks him dead in the eye. Damon freezes. It can't be. It's impossible. The eyes are different. They are fierce, confident, devoid of the warmth he once knew. But the face, it's Hannah. But it's not the Hannah who scrubbed floors. This woman radiates an aura of wealth that makes his own look like pocket change. "Gentlemen," her voice is smooth, velvety, but with a metallic edge. "I am Elena Park, CEO of Nemesis Capital, and as of 10 minutes ago, I acquired the debt of your 3 major creditors, which means..." She walks slowly toward Damon, her eyes never leaving his. "I am not here to negotiate a partnership, Mr. King. I am here to accept your surrender." Damon is paralyzed. "Hannah?" he whispers, his voice trembling. The board members look confused. Elena laughs, a dry, humorless sound. Hana? I'm afraid you have mistaken me for someone who mattered to you, Mr. King. My name is Elena, and I suggest you sit down before I have security escort you out of my building. The emphasis on my hits him like a physical blow. She throws a thick file onto the table. It slides across the polished wood and stops right in front of him. Sign this. It transfers majority control to Nemesis Capital. You stay on as CEO because I need a puppet face for the public, but I make the decisions. I own your assets, your brand, and your future. If you refuse, I call in the debts immediately, and Titan Group goes bankrupt by noon today. You will be on the street, penniless, just like a stray dog. Damon flinches. The words trigger a memory, a vague sense of guilt he buried years ago, but he can't place it. He looks at the contract. It's a slave contract in all but name. He will be working for her. He will answer to her. The humiliation burns his throat like acid. But he thinks of his ailing father, of the legacy he promised to protect. He clenches his fists until his knuckles turn white. He picks up the pen. His hand shakes. He looks at her, searching for a trace of the girl he once knew, the girl who looked at him with stars in her eyes. He finds nothing but a black void. Sign it, Damon, she commands softly, leaning in close. Her perfume, a rare, expensive scent, fills his senses. It's intoxicating. Be a good boy, he signs. The scratch of the pen sounds like a scream in the silent room. Elena smiles. It is a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Excellent. Now, the first order of business. She turns to the stunned board members. Get out, all of you. I want to speak to my new employee alone. The board members scramble out like rats fleeing a sinking ship. They are alone. The tension is electric. Damon stands up, trying to regain some height, some dignity. Who are you really? You look exactly like her. Elena walks around the table, trailing her finger along the edge. She stops right behind him. She leans down and whispers into his ear, sending shivers down his spine. It doesn't matter who I am, Damon. What matters is what I own. And right now, I own you. She reaches into his pocket, pulls out his handkerchief, and wipes a speck of dust from his shoulder with mocking tenderness. Your tie is crooked. Fix it. My employees must look perfect. Damon grabs her wrist. Stop playing games. Did you come back for revenge? Is that it? Because of what happened? I can explain. Explain? Elena rips her hand away, her eyes flashing with a sudden, terrifying fire. Explain what? That you left a girl to die in the rain? That you threw away a life like garbage? Oh, Mr. King, you flatter yourself. I didn't come back for revenge. Revenge implies I still care. I came back because you are weak and I am hungry. This is business. Only business. She walks to the door, pauses, and turns back. Oh, and Mr. King, prepare a coffee. Black, 2 sugars. Bring it to my office in 5 minutes. Do not be late. I hate cold coffee. She slams the door. Damon is left standing alone in the boardroom of the company his grandfather built, realized he has just become the personal assistant to a woman who looks exactly like the girl he destroyed. He is furious, humiliated, and terrified. But underneath it all, his heart is pounding a rhythm he hasn't felt in years. He watches the door, his mind racing. Who is Elena Park, and why does looking at her feel like standing on the edge of a cliff? Meanwhile, inside the luxurious CEO office that was once Damon's and is now hers, Elena closes the blinds. Her mask of icy composure cracks for just a second. She leans against the heavy oak door, her breathing ragged. Her hands are shaking uncontrollably. She pulls a small, cheap, rusted locket from inside her expensive blazer. Inside is a tiny, faded ultrasound picture. She stares at it, tears welling up in her eyes, burning like acid. I did it, baby. She whispers to the empty room, her voice breaking. I got him. I have the leash around his neck. He thinks this is about money. He thinks this is about business. She snaps the locket shut, her eyes hardening into diamonds again. He has no idea. I'm going to make him fall in love with me. I'm going to make him need me like he needs air. And when he is on his knees, begging for my love, I will do exactly what he did to me. I will drive away and leave him in the cold. She walks to the desk, sits in his chair, and spins it around to face the city skyline. The rain begins to fall outside, tapping against the glass. The game has begun. The hunter has become the prey, and the prey has just walked willingly into the trap. But Elena forgot one thing. When you dance with the devil, you might get burned by the flames you ignited. And Damon King is not a man who stays on his knees for long. The break room on the executive floor was silent, save for the aggressive gurgling of the espresso machine. Damon Kang, a man who had negotiated billion-dollar mergers and dined with prime ministers, stared blankly at the dark liquid dripping into a ceramic cup. His hands, usually steady and commanding, were trembling with a mixture of rage and humiliation. He grabbed a sugar packet, his knuckles turning white. 2 sugars. Black. Just how she ordered it. The absurdity of the situation threatened to make him scream. He was the prince of Titan Group. This building bore his family name, and yet here he was, playing barista for a woman who looked like a ghost from his past, a woman who had walked in and stolen his throne in less than 10 minutes. He marched back to the CEO's office, her office now. He didn't knock. He pushed the door open, carrying the coffee like a weapon he wished he could use. Elena was on the phone, speaking fluent French, her back turned to him as she gazed out at the city skyline. The rain was still lashing against the windows, a gray curtain isolating them from the world. She spun her chair around as he approached, ending the call with a sharp click. She looked at the coffee, then at him, then at her watch. 3 minutes late, she said, her voice devoid of emotion. Inefficiency is a disease, Damon. I hope it's not contagious. Damon slammed the cup down on the coaster. Coffee sloshed over the rim. Here, your coffee. Now, are we done with the games? We need to talk about the acquisition strategy for the Q3 merger. I have ideas that... Elena didn't even look at the files he was holding. She picked up the cup, took a slow, deliberate sip, and then her face twisted in disgust. She didn't swallow. She spat the coffee back into the cup with a grimace that made Damon's blood boil. Disgusting, she muttered, pushing the cup away as if it were poison. It's lukewarm. And you stirred it clockwise. I prefer counterclockwise. It changes the aeration. She looked up at him, her eyes challenging. Pour it out. Make another one. And this time, if you spill a single drop on my coaster, I'll deduct the cleaning fee from your salary, which by the way is minimum wage. Damon exploded. He slammed his hands on the desk, leaning over her, his face inches from hers. Enough. You think you can humiliate me into quitting? I know who you are. You're Hannah. I don't know how you got this money. I don't know who Elena Park is, but I know those eyes. You're doing this because of that night 5 years ago. You want to punish me? Fine, punish me, but don't treat me like an idiot. For a second, the air in the room vanished. Elena didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She slowly stood up, her high heels adding inches to her height, her gaze locking onto his with terrifying intensity. She reached out and grabbed his tie, yanking him down until their noses were almost touching. He could smell her scent, vanilla and cold steel. It was dizzying. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Kang, she whispered, her voice like a velvet blade. Hannah is dead. She died the night you threw her away like trash. I am Elena. I am the woman who owns the roof over your head. If I were doing this for revenge, I would have fired you. I kept you here because I enjoy watching you squirm. You think you matter enough for me to build a fake identity just to hurt you? You are a bad investment, Damon. Nothing more. She shoved him back. Now, get out. And don't come back without a perfect cup of coffee, or don't come back at all. Damon stumbled back, his chest heaving. He looked at her, searching for the crack in the armor, searching for the girl who used to knit him scarves and wait for him in the snow, but she was gone. In her place was a monster. He grabbed the cup and stormed out, the door slamming behind him. Elena watched him go, her mask slipping for just a fraction of a second. She sank into her chair, her hand trembling as she touched her own reflection in the darkened computer screen. Hannah is dead, she repeated to herself, a mantra to keep the pain at bay. Don't let him see you bleed. 2 weeks passed. It was a hellish fortnight for Damon. Elena was a tyrant. She made him organize files from 10 years ago by color. She made him pick up her dry cleaning. She made him sit in board meetings and take minutes while she dismantled his previous business strategies, calling them amateurish and short-sighted in front of the very executives who used to bow to him. But the worst part wasn't the work, it was the way she looked at him. Like he was a specimen under a microscope, and the way he looked at her. Despite his rage, Damon couldn't stop watching her. He watched her brilliance as she outmaneuvered competitors. He watched the way she bit her lower lip when she was reading a complex contract, a habit Hannah used to have. He found himself hating her and wanting her in equal measure. The confusion was driving him insane. One Tuesday afternoon, the elevator doors to the executive floor opened and the sound of high-pitched, mocking laughter filled the hallway. Damon froze at his small desk outside Elena's office. He knew that laugh. It was Vanessa Lee, his ex-fiancée, the woman who had been in the car that night, the woman who had left him the moment the Titan Group's stock plummeted. Vanessa sashayed in, wearing a fur coat that cost more than Damon's new annual salary. She spotted Damon sitting at the assistant's desk and covered her mouth in feigned shock. Oh my God, it's true. The great Damon Kang reduced to a receptionist? Oh, darling, this is tragic, even for you. Damon gritted his teeth, not looking up. What do you want, Vanessa? You don't have an appointment. I don't need one, she scoffed, leaning over his desk, flashing a diamond ring from her new fiancé. I heard a new shark bought the company. I came to see if she wants to sell off your family's private jet. My new husband is looking for a spare. She laughed again, a cruel grating sound. Look at you. You look like a dog waiting for scraps. I'm so glad I didn't marry you. Imagine being tied to a loser. Before Damon could retort, the door to the CEO's office flew open. Is there a reason there is a screeching hyena in my lobby? Elena stood there, leaning against the doorframe, her arms crossed. She looked impeccable in a crimson suit, a stark contrast to Vanessa's gaudy fur. Vanessa turned, ready to insult the newcomer, but the words died in her throat. She looked at Elena. She blinked. Who are you? Vanessa stepped back, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. You look familiar. Elena walked forward slowly, her heels clicking ominously. She stopped right in front of Vanessa, towering over her with sheer presence. I am the person who can buy your new husband's company and shut it down by lunchtime just for sport, and you are trespassing. Vanessa bristled, trying to regain her composure. I am Vanessa Lee. I am a VVIP client of this bank. You can't talk to me like that. I was almost the mistress of this building. Almost, Elena repeated, a cruel smirk playing on her lips. She glanced at Damon, who was watching the scene, stunned. Key word, almost. Now you are just a noise complaint. Elena leaned in, her voice dropping to a terrifying whisper. I know about the offshore accounts your father is hiding in the Caymans, Vanessa. I know about the tax evasion. If you don't turn around and walk out of my building in 3 seconds, I will send the IRS a very interesting email. Vanessa went pale. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. She grabbed her bag, shot a hateful glare at Damon, and practically ran to the elevators. Silence descended on the hallway. Damon stared at Elena. She had just defended him. Or had she? Elena turned to him, her expression bored. Don't look at me like I'm your savior, Damon. I just hate loud noises. And frankly, your taste in women was atrocious. She smells like desperation and cheap perfume. You knew who she was, Damon said, standing up. You defended me. Elena laughed, turning back to her office. I defended my property. You are my employee. Only I get to bully you. If anyone else does it, it makes my company look weak. She paused at the door. Get back to work. Those spreadsheets won't format themselves. She slammed the door. But inside the office, Elena leaned against the wood, her heart racing. Seeing Vanessa again had brought back the memories of the rain, the car window, the cruelty. She wanted to scream. But seeing Damon being humiliated by that woman, it had hurt her more than she expected. Why? She asked herself angrily. I want him to suffer. So why did I want to tear Vanessa apart for insulting him? Later that night, a storm broke over the city. Thunder shook the glass walls of the Titan Tower. It was 11 p.m. Everyone else had gone home. Only Elena and Damon remained. Elena was in her office nursing a migraine. The stress of the takeover, the act of pretending to be someone else, the constant proximity to the man she loved and hated, it was taking its toll. She stood up to get some water but swayed, her vision blurring. She stumbled, knocking a stack of files off her desk. Damon rushed in instantly. Elena, are you okay? He found her gripping the edge of the desk, her face pale. He forgot the hierarchy. He forgot the hate. Instinct took over. He rushed to her side, grabbing her arm to steady her. You're burning up, he said, touching her forehead. His hand was warm, large, familiar. Elena flinched as if burned, but she didn't pull away. She looked up at him. For a moment, the mask was gone. Her eyes were vulnerable, wide, swimming with exhaustion. I'm fine, she whispered, her voice lacking its usual bite. Just dizzy. Sit down, Damon commanded gently. He guided her to the leather sofa in the corner of the office. He knelt before her, loosening the scarf around her neck. You've been working 18-hour days. You're human, Elena, not a machine. He poured a glass of water and held it to her lips. She drank, her eyes never leaving his face. The thunder crashed outside, plunging the room into momentary darkness before the emergency lights flickered on, casting them in a dim, intimate shadow. Damon put the glass down. He didn't move away. He was kneeling between her legs, looking up at her. The silence was thick, heavy with unsaid words and 7 years of pain. He reached out, his fingers brushing a stray lock of hair from her cheek. His touch was tentative, gentle. "Why?" he asked, his voice cracking. "Why do you hate me so much? Tell me the truth, please." Elena looked at him. She saw the lines of stress around his eyes, the genuine worry. For a second, she wanted to tell him. She wanted to scream about the baby, about the rain, about the cold. She wanted to collapse into his arms and cry. She leaned forward. Their faces were inches apart. She could feel his breath on her lips. Damon's eyes dropped to her mouth. He leaned in, closing the gap. He was going to kiss her, and God help her. She wanted him to. But just as his lips brushed hers, the image of the ultrasound flashed in her mind. The dead baby, the rejection. She shoved him, hard. Damon fell back onto the floor, surprised. Elena stood up, swaying but furious. Her vulnerability slammed shut behind a wall of ice. "Don't you dare!" she hissed, wiping her mouth as if his touch disgusted her. "Do not mistake my exhaustion for weakness, Damon. And do not think that just because we are alone, you can manipulate me with your charm." She laughed bitterly. "You think I want you? After everything? You are nothing to me but a bad debt I am collecting on." Damon stood up, his face hardening. The moment was gone. The rejection stung worse than the slap. "You wanted it too," he said quietly. "I felt it." "You felt what you wanted to feel," Elena retorted, walking back to her desk, turning her back on him. "Go home, Damon, before I fire you for sexual harassment." Damon stared at her back for a long moment. Then he grabbed his coat and walked out. He entered the elevator, his mind in turmoil. He pressed the button for the lobby. The doors closed, sealing him in the metal box. As the elevator descended, the lights suddenly flickered. The hum of the motor died. The elevator jerked violently and stopped dead between the 30th and 29th floors. Darkness. Total, absolute darkness. Damon's breath hitched. He had severe claustrophobia, a result of a childhood trauma involving a locked closet. His chest tightened. He couldn't breathe. The walls felt like they were closing in. He scrambled for his phone, but his hands were shaking so badly he dropped it. "Help," he croaked, but his voice was a whisper. He slid down to the floor, clutching his chest, gasping for air. The panic attack hit him like a tsunami. He was going to die here, in the dark, alone. Suddenly, the emergency intercom crackled to life. "Damon?" It was her voice. "Elena." "Damon, are you in there? The building's power grid just surged. The generators are rebooting." "Elena," he gasped, curling into a ball. I can't breathe." Silence on the other end, then a shift in her tone. The coldness was gone, replaced by urgent, frantic concern. She knew. Hannah knew about his claustrophobia. "Damon, listen to me," she commanded, her voice loud and clear in the small box. "Listen to my voice. You are not trapped. You are safe. I am right here. I am right outside the doors on the 30th floor. I'm trying to pry them open." He heard the sound of metal scraping against metal. She was trying to force the doors open with her bare hands. "Breathe with me, Damon. In, out. Do it," she yelled. 1, 2, 3. Look at me. Imagine you are looking at me." I can't." "Yes, you can, because you are Damon Kong. You are the most arrogant, stubborn man I know. You don't get to die in an elevator. Do you hear me? Open your eyes." With a screech of metal, a sliver of light appeared at the top of the door. Fingers appeared, prying the heavy steel doors apart. It was impossible for one woman, but adrenaline was a powerful drug. The door slid open a foot. Elena was there, kneeling on the floor of the 30th level, looking down into the car where he was huddled. Her hair was messy, her nails broken from prying the door. Light from the hallway flooded in. "Give me your hand," she screamed, reaching down. Damon looked up. He saw her silhouette. She looked like an angel. He reached up. Their hands locked. Her grip was ironclad. "I've got you," she grunted, pulling with all her strength. "I've got you." For a moment, in the terrifying suspension between life and death, the hate didn't exist. There was only the desperate need to save each other. But as she pulled him up, Damon saw something around her neck. The struggle had dislodged a necklace hidden under her shirt, a cheap, rusted locket. He knew that locket. He had bought it for Hannah at a night market 6 years ago. He froze halfway out of the elevator. He looked at the locket, then at her face. "Hannah," he whispered. Elena's eyes widened in horror. She realized her mistake. She pulled him up onto the floor, collapsing next to him, panting. But before she could hide the necklace, Damon reached out and grabbed it. "You kept it," he said, his voice trembling with shock and realization. "You are Hannah." Elena stared at him, her chest heaving. The secret was out. The game had just changed, and this time there was nowhere to hide. The emergency lights of the elevator shaft hummed with a low electric buzz, casting long, distorted shadows against the walls of the 30th floor. Damon Kang lay on the carpeted hallway floor, his chest heaving as he gulped down air, trying to force the panic of the claustrophobia back into its cage. But the physical terror was rapidly being replaced by a much sharper, more visceral shock. In his hand, he had felt the cold, rusted metal of the locket. He had seen the scratches on the surface, scratches he remembered making with a pocket knife when he clumsily engraved her initials, HY, on the back 6 years ago. Elena sat next to him, her usually pristine suit covered in dust from prying the doors open. Her chest was rising and falling rapidly, not just from exertion, but from sheer terror. She saw the recognition in his eyes. She saw the way he looked at the necklace dangling from her neck as if it were a smoking gun. For a split second, the invincible Empress was gone. Hannah was there, exposed and vulnerable. "You kept it," Damon whispered again, his voice hoarse. He reached out, his fingers trembling, trying to touch the locket again. "Hannah, it's you. You're alive." Elena's survival instinct kicked in with the force of a hurricane. She slapped his hand away. The sound echoed sharply in the empty hallway. She scrambled backwards, standing up on shaky legs, her face twisting into a mask of sneering contempt. She shoved the locket back under her silk blouse, hiding the evidence. "You are delusional, Mr. Kang," she hissed, her voice shaking but gaining strength with every word. "Oxygen deprivation must be affecting your brain. I told you Hannah is dead. I keep this piece of junk." She touched her chest, her fingers curling painfully around the metal hidden there. "As a trophy, a reminder of a pathetic girl who didn't know her place. I bought it from a pawn shop years ago because it amused me. It reminds me never to be weak like her." Damon slowly stood up, using the wall for support. The panic attack had faded, replaced by a burning, laser-focused intensity. He didn't believe her. Not for a second. The way she had screamed his name in the elevator, the way she had ripped the doors open with superhuman strength, that wasn't a boss saving an employee. That was a woman saving the man she loved, or used to love. "Liar," Damon said softly. He took a step toward her. He didn't look like the beaten down assistant anymore. He looked like the CEO he used to be. "You can change your name. You can change your face. You can buy the whole world, but you can't change the way you look at me when you think I'm dying. Why are you hiding? Why are you torturing me if you're still alive?" "I am torturing you because you deserve it," Elena screamed, her composure finally snapping. "Because you are incompetent. Because you let this company rot. Go home, Damon. Get out of my sight before I destroy what little dignity you have left." She spun on her heel and marched toward her office, locking the door behind her with a slam that shook the walls. Damon stood alone in the hallway. He didn't leave. He stared at the closed door, his fists clenched. "Fine," he whispered to the silence. "Play your game, Elena. But I'm done playing by your rules. I'm going to find the truth, and if you really are Hannah, I'm never letting you go again." The next morning, the dynamic at Titan Group shifted. The employees felt it. The air was heavier. Damon walked in not as a submissive assistant carrying coffee, but with a cold, quiet determination. He placed the coffee on her desk, black, 2 sugars, perfectly stirred counterclockwise, and didn't leave when she dismissed him. "I need the financials for the last 5 years," Damon stated, standing in front of her desk. Elena didn't look up from her laptop. "That's classified. You're an assistant. Go file the invoices." "I know you're funneling money into a shell company in Switzerland," Damon bluffed. He didn't know that for sure, but he knew business. "And I know that shell company is linked to a private hospital in Seoul. Why are you sending money there, Elena? Or should I ask, who is sick?" Elena's head snapped up. Her eyes narrowed dangerously. "You are overstepping, Damon. One more word and you are fired." "Fire me," Damon challenged, leaning over the desk. "Go ahead. But if you do, You lose the only person in this building who knows where the bodies are buried. You need me to navigate the old contracts, and I'm not leaving until I get answers." They stared at each other, a silent war of wills. Elena saw the fire in his eyes, the same fire that had made her fall in love with him years ago. It terrified her. He was getting too close. She needed to distract him. She needed to break him. "Fine," she said coldly. "You want to play detective? We have a site visit today. The Inshan factory. The union is striking. They are threatening to burn the place down because your father cut their pensions. Fix it. If you can calm them down without spending a dime of my money, I won't fire you. If you fail, you walk away and never say the name Hana again." "Deal," Damon said instantly. The drive to Inshan was suffocating. They sat in the back of the Bentley, separated by a foot of leather seat that felt like a canyon. Elena looked out the window, refusing to acknowledge him. Damon watched her reflection in the glass. He noticed things he hadn't before. The way she rubbed her wrist when she was anxious, the faint, tiny scar above her eyebrow, the one Hana got falling off a bike when they were dating. It was covered with makeup, but it was there. He was 100% sure now, but he needed to know why. Why the hate? Why the elaborate revenge? They arrived at the factory. It was chaos. Hundreds of angry workers were shouting, holding signs, throwing rocks. The security team was overwhelmed. "Stay in the car," Elena ordered, reaching for the door handle. "I'll handle this. I speak the language of money." "No." Damon grabbed her arm. "You don't know these men. They don't want money. They want respect. My father took that from them. I have to fix it." He stepped out before she could stop him. The crowd roared when they saw him. "It's Kang, the traitor!" A rock flew through the air, hitting Damon on the shoulder. He didn't flinch. He walked to the makeshift stage, grabbed the megaphone, and faced the mob. Elena watched from the car, her heart in her throat. She wanted to hate him. She wanted to see him fail. But seeing him stand there, defenseless against hundreds of angry men, triggered a primal panic in her. He's going to get hurt. Damon spoke for an hour. He didn't offer bribes. He offered the truth. He admitted his father's mistakes. He admitted his own failures. He pledged his own personal assets, what little he had left, to reinstate the pension fund. He spoke with a humility and passion that silenced the mob. By the end, they weren't cheering, but they were listening. They put down the rocks. Damon walked back to the car, bruised, his shirt torn, exhausted. He slid into the seat next to Elena. He looked at her, expecting a sarcastic comment. Elena stared at him. For a moment, she saw the man she loved, the man who had a good heart before the money corrupted him. She reached into her purse, pulled out a handkerchief, and dabbed the cut on his cheek. She didn't realize she was doing it until his hand covered hers, stopping her. "Why do you hate me, Hana?" he asked softly. "I know I was arrogant. I know I neglected you when the company got big, but I never stopped loving you. That night, 5 years ago, I waited for you at the restaurant. You never came. You disappeared." Elena yanked her hand back. The tenderness evaporated, replaced by a sudden, violent rage. "You waited?" She laughed, a shrill, broken sound. "You waited at a restaurant? Damon, stop lying. I came to you. I came to the Titan gates. It was raining. You were in your car with Vanessa. I banged on the window. I begged you to listen." Damon frowned, genuinely confused. "What? That never happened. I was with Vanessa. Yes, we were going to a gala, but I never saw you. I never heard you." "You rolled down the window!" Elena screamed, tears finally spilling over her icy mask. "You looked me in the eye and you said, get rid of it. You told your driver to get rid of me like I was a stray animal." Damon froze. The memory clicked. 5 years ago, the rainy night, the gala. He remembered the car ride. He remembered Vanessa complaining about a beggar banging on the window. The windows were tinted. He couldn't see outside clearly. He had been on a call with his father, stressed out of his mind. He remembered waving his hand at the driver because the noise was distracting him. He had said, "Get rid of it," referring to the noise, the distraction. He thought it was a paparazzi or a drunk. He stared at Elena in horror. "Elena? I didn't know it was you. The windows, they were tinted. I thought you were a reporter. I didn't see you." "Liar!" Elena sobbed, shaking her head. "You looked at me, and you killed him. You killed our baby." The word hung in the air like a nuclear warhead. Baby. Damon felt the blood drain from his face. The world stopped spinning. The noise of the factory faded into a buzzing silence. He grabbed her shoulders, his grip tight, desperate. "Baby," he choked out. "What baby? Hana, were you pregnant?" Elena looked at him, her eyes full of infinite pain and hatred. Yes, I was coming to tell you. I was so happy. I thought we would be a family, but you threw me into the mud. You drove away, and that night, in the cold, I lost him. I lost our son. She collapsed against the car door, sobbing uncontrollably. The Empress was gone. All that was left was a grieving mother. Damon sat there, turned to stone. The weight of the revelation crushed him. He had a child, a son, and his own arrogance, his own dismissal had caused his death. He remembered the night. He remembered the vague figure in the rain. He had been so focused on his deal, on his reputation, that he hadn't bothered to look. He hadn't bothered to open the door. He had killed his own child. A scream tore from Damon's throat, a sound of pure agony. He tried to touch her, to comfort her, but his hands felt covered in blood. He pulled away, slamming his fist into the leather seat again and again. I didn't know. He wept, tears streaming down his face. Hannah, I swear on my life. I didn't know. If I knew it was you, if I knew about the baby, I would have burned the world down to get to you. I would have died for you. It's too late, Elena whispered, wiping her face, her voice turning cold and dead again. He is gone, and you are the reason. That is why I'm here, Damon. Not for money, not for power. I am here to make you feel what I felt. I want you to lose everything. I want you to stand in the rain with nothing, screaming for help that will never come. Do it, Damon said brokenly. He looked at her, his eyes dead. Destroy me. Take the company. Take my life. I don't care anymore. If I did that to you, I don't deserve to live. The car was silent for the rest of the ride back. The air was heavy with grief and a tragedy that couldn't be undone. But Damon's mind was racing. The guilt was eating him alive, but something else was gnawing at him. A detail, a tiny, inconsistent detail. She said she lost the baby that night, but 2 days ago, when he was investigating her finances, he found the transfers to the hospital in Seoul. He had assumed it was for her, but the payments were to a pediatric ward, a specialized unit for long-term care. If the baby died 5 years ago, why was she paying for pediatric care now? Damon looked at Elena. She was staring out the window, her hand clutching the locket that contained the ultrasound. He didn't say anything. He couldn't give her false hope, and he couldn't ask her while she was this fragile. But the detective in him, the desperate father in him, woke up. He needed to go to Seoul. He needed to find out who was in that hospital. When they arrived back at Titan Tower, Elena got out without a word. She looked exhausted, broken. She went straight to the private elevator. Damon didn't follow her. He waited until she was gone. Then he pulled out his phone. He called his old private investigator, a man he hadn't used since the bankruptcy. Park, Damon said, his voice low and dangerous. I need you to do something illegal. I need the patient records for a VIP patient in Seoul Asan Hospital. The payments are coming from a shell company linked to Nemesis Capital. Find out who the patient is. Find out the birth date. Damon, this is risky, the investigator said. Just do it, Damon shouted. My life depends on it. He hung up. He stood in the rain outside his former company, the water soaking him to the bone. He looked up at the penthouse office where Elena was likely crying alone. If he is alive, Damon whispered to the storm. If my son is alive, Hannah, I will spend the rest of my life on my knees begging for your forgiveness. But if you hid him from me, if you let me believe I was a murderer while he was breathing, his eyes hardened, then God help us both. The file folder felt heavier than lead in Damon Kang's hand. He sat in his car, parked a block away from the Titan Tower, the engine idling, the air conditioning blasting against the cold sweat on his forehead. It was 6 a.m. He hadn't slept. His private investigator, Park, had come through in record time, hacking into the encrypted archives of the Seoul Asan Hospital. Inside this manila envelope lay the answer that would either destroy Damon completely or give him a reason to breathe again. He opened it. The first thing he saw was a photograph. It was a candid shot taken from a distance, showing a small boy in a wheelchair sitting in a sterile hospital garden. The boy was pale, frail, with an IV line taped to his small hand. But his face? God, his face. It was Damon's face. The same sharp nose, the same stubborn set of the jaw, the same dark, intense eyes. The breath left Damon's lungs in a ragged gasp. He read the medical summary. Name, Han Noah, age 4. Diagnosis, acute myeloid leukemia. Status, critical. Urgent need for bone marrow transplant. He's alive, Damon whispered, the words choking him. He's alive. The relief was instantaneous, crashing over him like a tidal wave. But right behind the relief came a rage so dark, so consuming, it frightened him. Elena had lied. She had looked him in the eye, surrounded by the ghosts of their past, and told him their son was dead. She had let him carry the weight of being a murderer. She had let him believe he had killed his own flesh and blood. And all the while, his son was rotting in a hospital bed, fighting for his life, while she played CEO and treated Damon like a servant. He slammed the car into gear. The tires screeched as he peeled out into traffic. He wasn't going to the office. He was going to her penthouse. The game was over. There would be no more coffee runs, no more submissive bowing, no more silence. Today, he was going to take back what was his. Elena stood in front of her floor-to-ceiling mirror, fastening a diamond earring. Her hands were shaking again. Last night's confession at the factory had drained her. Seeing Damon's agony, hearing him say he would have died for her, it had cracked the ice around her heart. She had almost told him. She had almost screamed, "He's alive! Help me save him!" But fear had stopped her. Fear that Damon would take Noah away. Fear that the Kang family, with their power and lawyers, would deem her an unfit mother and snatch her sick child from her arms. She grabbed her purse, checking her phone. 3 missed calls from the hospital. Her heart skipped a beat. She dialed the doctor back immediately. "Doctor, Choi? Is everything okay?" "Ms. Park," the doctor's voice was grave. "Noah's white blood cell count has dropped significantly overnight. The chemotherapy isn't working as well as we hoped. We need a donor match, and we need it soon. Have you reconsidered contacting the father?" Elena closed her eyes, leaning against the cold glass of the window. "I told you, the father's out of the picture. I'm testing my relatives. I will find a match. Ms. Park, the odds are slim. The father is the best bet. If he is alive, he is dead to us," Elena snapped, her voice breaking. "Just keep him stable, doctor. I have the money. I will pay whatever it takes." She hung up, fighting back tears. She needed to go to the office. She needed to liquidate more Titan assets. That was the real reason she had returned. Revenge was a sweet bonus, but money, massive amounts of liquid cash, was the necessity. Noah's treatment was costing a fortune, and her investment firm was leveraged to the hilt. She was robbing Peter to pay Paul, all to keep her son's heart beating. Suddenly, her front door exploded inward. Elena screamed, dropping her phone. Damon stood in the doorway, his chest heaving, his eyes wild. He had kicked the door open. He marched into her living room like a storm god, holding a crumpled file in his hand. "Damon!" Elena gasped, stepping back. "What are you doing? How dare you break into my house?" Damon didn't stop until he was inches from her. He threw the file onto the glass coffee table. The photos of Noah spilled out. "Explain," he growled. His voice was terrifyingly quiet. "Explain to me why my son is in a hospital bed in Seoul while you told me he was in a grave." Elena looked at the photos. Her face went white as a sheet. She tried to grab them, but Damon caught her wrists, pinning her against the wall. "Don't lie," he roared, shaking her. "Don't you dare lie to me again. Is he mine? Say it." Elena looked into his eyes that were burning with betrayal and a desperate, agonizing hope. She couldn't fight him anymore. The walls had crumbled. "Yes," she screamed back, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, he is yours. Noah is your son." Damon released her as if burned. He stumbled back, running his hands through his hair, a laugh tearing from his throat that sounded like a sob. "He's mine. You hid him for 4 years. You let me believe... God, Elena, do you have any idea what you've done?" "I protected him," Elena yelled, her defensive walls rising. "From you, from your toxic family. You think your father would have accepted a sick, illegitimate child from a janitor's daughter? He would have forced me to abort him, or he would have taken him and locked him away in some institution. I saved him." "You didn't save him," Damon shouted, pointing at the photos. "Look at him. He's dying, Elena. He has leukemia. And you're here playing corporate raider while he's alone in a hospital?" "I am here to pay for his life," Elena shrieked, her voice cracking. "Why do you think I bought your debt? Why do you think I'm stripping Titan Group's assets? The experimental treatment in Switzerland cost $5 million a round. I was broke, Damon. After I left you, I had nothing. I built Nemesis Capital from dirt just to keep him alive. I became a monster for him." Silence fell over the room. The truth hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Damon stared at her. He saw it now. The desperation behind the arrogance. The fear behind the cruelty. She hadn't come back to destroy him for sport. She had come back to harvest his company, to save their son. Why didn't you tell me? Damon asked, his voice broken. I would have given you the money. I would have given you everything. I couldn't trust you, Elena whispered, sinking to the floor. The last time I trusted you, you left me in the rain. I couldn't risk Noah. He is all I have. Damon knelt in front of her. He didn't touch her. He just looked at her with a profound sadness. You were wrong, Hannah. You were so wrong. I would have sold my soul to save him. Before Elena could respond, her phone on the floor buzzed again. It was Dr. Choi. Damon looked at the phone, then at her. He picked it up and answered it on speaker. Ms. Park, it's Dr. Choi. Noah has gone into septic shock. His organs are failing. You need to come now, and if the father is available, bring him. We need to test him for a match immediately. It's his last chance. The room spun. Elena let out a strangled cry. Damon dropped the phone. Get up, Damon said. His voice was steel. He pulled Elena to her feet. We can't. It's in Seoul. Elena sobbed, panicking. The flight takes too long. My private jet is at the hangar, Damon said, dragging her toward the door. We will be there in an hour. Stop crying. We are going to save our son. The flight was a blur of terrified silence. They sat opposite each other, neither speaking. Damon spent the entire flight on the phone, coordinating with the hospital, hiring the best specialists in Asia to fly to Seoul, organizing a police escort from the airport. He was in full CEO mode, efficient, commanding, unstoppable. Elena watched him. Curled up in her seat, she saw the man she had fallen in love with, the protector. When they arrived at the hospital, the scene was chaotic. Doctors were running, alarms were beeping, they burst into the ICU, and there he was. Noah. He was so small, smaller than in the photos. He was hooked up to a dozen machines, his skin translucent, his breathing shallow and ragged. He looked like a porcelain doll that had been broken and glued back together too many times. Damon stopped at the door, his knees buckled. This was his son, this little boy fighting a war he didn't understand. A war Damon should have been fighting with him. He walked to the bedside. He reached out a trembling hand and touched Noah's cheek. It was hot with fever. Noah, Damon whispered, It's your dad. I'm here. Elena stood in the corner, unable to watch. The guilt was eating her alive. She had kept them apart. She had stolen this moment from both of them. A nurse rushed in. Mr. Kang, we need to draw your blood, now. Damon didn't hesitate. He rolled up his sleeve. Take it all, whatever he needs. The next 6 hours were agony. They sat in the waiting room, the fluorescent lights humming overhead. Damon paced. Elena stared at the floor. Finally, Dr. Choi came out. He looked exhausted. Mr. King, the doctor said. Damon froze. He is stable, Dr. Choi said, and the test results came back. You are 100% match for the bone marrow transplant. It's a miracle. Elena let out a sob of relief, burying her face in her hands. Damon closed his eyes, leaning his head back against the wall. Thank God. However, the doctor continued, his tone cautious, the transplant is risky. Noah is very weak. His body might reject it, and the procedure puts stress on the donor too. But we have no choice. We need to prep you for surgery immediately. Do it, Damon said, right now. Damon? Elena stood up, walking toward him. She looked at him with tear-filled eyes. Thank you. I don't deserve this. After everything I did to you? Damon looked at her. He didn't offer forgiveness. Not yet. The wound was too deep, but he offered a truce. I'm not doing this for you, Elena. I'm doing this for him. He paused, his gaze softening just a fraction. But you raised a fighter. He held on until I got here. You did that. He turned and followed the nurse into the prep room. Elena watched him go, realizing that the man she had spent 5 years hating was the only one who could save her world. And for the first time in 5 years, she didn't want revenge. She just wanted him to come back. The surgery took 8 hours. Elena sat alone in the waiting room. Her phone buzzed. It was her secretary from Titan Group. Ms. Park? The board is panicking. The stock is plummeting because of the asset liquidation. And Vanessa Lee is on TV. She's telling everyone that you are a fraud, that you stole the company, and that you have a secret child. The press is swarming the building. Elena laughed, a hollow, empty sound. Let them swarm. Let it burn. I don't care about the company anymore. But Miss Park, if the stock crashes, your assets freeze. You won't be able to pay the hospital bills. Elena went cold. The nightmare wasn't over. Even with a donor, the post-op care, the isolation unit, the medication, it cost millions a week. If her assets froze now... She stood up, pacing the room. Vanessa, that witch. She had found out about Noah and was using it to destroy Elena financially just when Noah needed the money the most. The door to the surgery ward opened. Damon was wheeled out, groggy, pale, but awake. He looked at Elena. "Is it done?" he rasped. "Yes," the nurse said. "The transplant was successful. Now we wait." Damon reached out his hand. Elena took it. "Damon," she whispered, "we have a problem. Vanessa. She's attacking the company. They might freeze our accounts. We can't pay for the recovery." Damon's eyes, heavy with anesthesia, suddenly sharpened. The shark was back. "Hand me my phone," he ordered. "You need to rest." "Hand me the damn phone, Elena." She gave it to him. Damon dialed a number. His voice was weak, but his authority was absolute. "This is Damon Kang. Initiate Protocol 0. Release the files on the Lee family, the tax evasion, the bribery, everything. Burn them to the ground." He hung up and looked at Elena. "Nobody touches my family. Not anymore." Elena squeezed his hand, tears falling onto the bedsheet. "Your family?" Damon closed his eyes, his grip on her hand tightening as he drifted off to sleep. "Yeah, my family." Just as peace seemed to settle, the heart monitor in Noah's room, visible through the glass window, began to beep rapidly. A flatline tone pierced the air. Doctors rushed past them. "Code Blue! He's crashing! Get the crash cart!" Elena screamed, banging on the glass. Damon's eyes flew open, terror flooding his face. "Noah!" The machine whined, a straight green line. The sound of a flat line is the loudest sound in the world. It is a single, piercing note that screams the end of everything. "Clear!" Dr. Choi shouted, pressing the defibrillator paddles against Noah's tiny, frail chest. The small body jerked violently on the bed. Damon, ignoring the searing pain in his hip where the bone marrow had been harvested, dragged himself out of his recovery bed and smashed his fist against the glass partition. "Breathe," Damon roared, tears streaming down his face, mixing with the sweat of his own surgery. "Noah, breathe. Don't you dare leave me. I just found you." Elena had collapsed against the window, sliding down until she hit the floor. She couldn't watch. She covered her ears, rocking back and forth, whispering a prayer she hadn't said in years. "Take everything. Take the company. Take my life. Just give him back." Still no pulse. Charging to 200. Clear. Thump. Silence. The green line stretched out, endless and flat. Dr. Choi looked at the nurse. He raised the paddles for a third time. His face was grim. This was it. The last chance. "Come on, Noah," the doctor whispered. "Fight." Zap. The body jumped, and then beep. Elena stopped rocking. Damon stopped breathing. Beep, beep, beep. A rhythm. Weak, erratic, but there. The green line spiked into a jagged mountain range of life. "We have a sinus rhythm," Dr. Choi announced, exhaling a breath he seemed to have held for 5 minutes. "He's back. Stabilize him. Increase the pressors." Damon slumped against the glass, his forehead resting on the cool surface. He watched as Noah's chest began to rise and fall, assisted by the ventilator. He turned to look at Elena. She was still on the floor, looking like a broken doll. He limped over to her, ignoring the protests of his own nurse. He sat down on the floor next to her and pulled her into his arms. For the first time, she didn't fight him. She buried her face in his hospital gown and screamed, a release of 5 years of terror. "He's okay," Damon whispered into her hair, rocking her. "He's a fighter. He's a Kang. We don't give up." 3 days passed, 3 days of silent vigil in the ICU. The crisis had passed, but Noah was still in a medically induced coma to let his body accept the new marrow. Damon and Elena hadn't left the room. They slept in chairs, ate terrible hospital food, and watched their son breathe. The silence between them had changed. It wasn't hostile anymore. It was the heavy, exhausted silence of survivors. It was 2 a.m. on the 4th night when Elena finally spoke. "I kept the name," she whispered, staring at Noah's sleeping face. Damon looked up from his tablet. "What?" "Hannah," she said softly. "I told you Hannah was dead, but I kept the name inside. Noah's middle name is Han. Han Noah. I wanted him to have a piece of the girl who loved you." Damon put the tablet down. He reached across the small space between their chairs and took her hand. His thumb traced the knuckles. "I never wanted to hurt her," Damon said, his voice thick with emotion. "I know you don't believe me about that night in the car, but I need you to know. I loved Hannah. I loved her more than my company, more than my family. When you disappeared, I went crazy. I hired investigators. I searched for years. I thought you left because I wasn't good enough, because I was weak against my father. Elena looked at him. She saw the truth in his eyes. The hate she had fueled for 5 years began to evaporate, leaving only a deep, aching sadness. I was coming to tell you about the baby, Elena confessed, tears slipping down her cheeks. I was so scared. I thought, if I told you, you would protect us. When I saw you in that car with Vanessa, when I thought you ordered me to be thrown away, it broke me, Damon. It turned me into stone. I swore I would become powerful enough so that no one could ever throw me away again. And you did. Damon said with a sad smile. You became the Empress. You brought me to my knees. You won, Elena. I didn't win. She shook her head, looking at Noah. Look at us. We almost lost the only thing that matters because we were too busy fighting a war that shouldn't have existed. Damon stood up. He pulled her up with him. He cupped her face in his hands. The war is over, he promised. No more Nemesis Capital, no more Titan Group rivalry, no more secrets. From now on, it's just us, you, me, and Noah. We build something new, together. Elena leaned into his touch, closing her eyes. Can we? After everything I did? I stole your company. I humiliated you. Damon chuckled softly. You saved my company. Titan was rotting from the inside. You cut out the cancer. And as for humiliating me, maybe I needed to be humbled. Maybe I needed to learn how to make a damn good cup of coffee to appreciate the woman holding the mug. Elena laughed through her tears. She tiptoed up and kissed him. It wasn't angry or desperate like the time in the office. It was soft, forgiving. It was a promise. The next morning, the TV in the waiting room was blaring the news. Breaking news. Vanessa Lee, heiress to the Lee conglomerate, has been arrested for tax fraud, embezzlement, and corporate espionage. Documents leaked late last night revealed a massive scheme to defraud investors. The Lee family stock has plummeted 80% in pre-market trading. Damon watched the screen with a grim satisfaction as Vanessa was led away in handcuffs, shielding her face from the paparazzi. Protocol 0, Damon muttered. Don't mess with my wife. Wife? Elena asked, walking up behind him with 2 cups of coffee. Damon turned, taking a cup. Well, technically you are my boss, but I'm planning a hostile takeover of your heart. I hear the merger benefits are excellent. Elena smirked, taking a sip. Black, 2 sugars, stirred counterclockwise. You learned. I had a strict teacher. Suddenly, a nurse ran out of the ICU room. Mr. Kang, Miss Park, he's waking up. They dropped the coffee. They ran. Inside the room, Noah's eyes were open. They were dark, unfocused, blinking against the light. He looked tiny and confused. He looked around the room until his eyes landed on Elena. Mommy? His voice was a rusty croak. I'm here, baby. Mommy is here. Elena rushed to his side, kissing his hand, his forehead, his cheeks. You're safe. You did it, Noah. You're going to be okay. Noah blinked, looking past her. He saw the tall man standing at the foot of the bed. The man who looked exactly like him. The man who was crying silently. Who is that? Noah asked weakly. Elena looked back at Damon. She smiled, stepping aside to let him closer. Noah, Elena said, this is the man who saved you. This is your dad. Noah's eyes widened. Dad? The one from the moon? Damon laughed, a sound of pure joy. He sat on the edge of the bed. I came back from the moon, buddy. The rocket ride was long, but I made it. Did you bring me a moon rock? Noah asked seriously. Damon reached into his pocket. He pulled out the rusted locket he had taken from Elena in the elevator. He placed it in Noah's small hand. Better, Damon said. I brought you the thing that guided me home. Noah held the locket. He looked at Damon, then at Elena. A small, tired smile appeared on his face. Okay, Noah whispered. You can stay. 1 year later, the Titan Tower had been rebranded. The sign on the building now read H&D Global, Hannah and Damon. The executive floor was buzzing with activity, but in the CEO's office, there was no tension. Damon sat at the large desk reviewing contracts. Elena sat on the edge of the desk reading a magazine. Mr. Kang, Elena said, tapping his shoulder with her heel. You have a meeting with the investors in 10 minutes. Your tie is crooked. Damon put down the pen. He grabbed her ankle and pulled her closer. My boss is very demanding. Maybe she should fix it for me. I'm busy, Elena teased. I'm planning the company retreat. To where? Paris? The Maldives? Legoland? A voice chirped from the floor. Noah was sitting under the desk drawing with crayons on the back of $1 million merger agreement. His hair had grown back, thick and black. His cheeks were rosy. He was healthy, vibrant, and unfortunately, just as bossy as his parents. Legoland, Damon sighed. Noah, we are a Fortune 500 company. We can't hold a board meeting at Legoland. Why not? Noah stood up, putting his hands on his hips, a gesture he learned from Elena. I own 10% of the shares. Mommy gave them to me. I vote for Legoland. Damon looked at Elena. You gave him voting rights? He has good instincts. Elena shrugged. And he's right. Legoland sounds fun. Damon shook his head, smiling. He stood up, fixed his tie, and picked up Noah. Fine, Legoland it is. But if I have to build a tower out of bricks, I'm building the tallest one. Deal! Noah high-fived him. Damon put his arm around Elena's waist, pulling her into a hug. He looked at his wife, his son, and the empire they had rebuilt from the ashes of their past. He thought about the rain, the pain, and the years lost, and he knew with absolute certainty that he was the luckiest man alive. I love you, Hannah, he whispered in her ear. Elena smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. I love you too, Damon. Now get back to work. You still owe me a coffee. Yes, boss. As they laughed, the sun broke through the clouds outside the window, illuminating the city below. The storm was over. The reign of the Empress and the King had just begun.